Hey everybody, Jedi Jack Luther here. It's Tuesday morning, and while I have some time, I thought I'd go over a few more things I've gotten a hold of that I haven't gotten to review or to tell you about. Either they've come in a box and the video just couldn't be done, or I went and picked them up and I just hadn't had the time to properly review them. Things have been hectic around here a little bit, but we're getting back to normal, and there you go. So as we get in there, we're going to get stuff going. So I wanted to go over a few things. So this is something that actually came in a box back last year, and I just could not get the video for it to work. I don't know what was going on. So I just didn't do it and just put it away. So I decided to do it now. So what this is this is from the 1990s. This is the Power of the Force Hoth Battle playset. Now, back in the 90s, as I've probably done in other videos that you've seen, especially the Millennium Falcon, back in the 90s, Kenner had a resurgence of Star Wars. They were they were getting ready to do the Phantom Menace, and there was a resurgence, and they kind of tried to push Star Wars to a new generation, but my generation kind of picked it up with the ball and just ran with it and just took off because we all love Star Wars. So they remade some of the older vehicles with the original molds and just repainted them different. Then they came out with newer figures and newer playsets. And this is a playset that came out to do Hoth with. Now, back in the 80s, there were different Hoth playsets. There was an Imperial Hoth base, which I don't know why, because the Imperials did not have a base on Hoth, and several other playsets. And one of the playsets they did was called the Turret and Probot set. And the turret was this looking cannon here with a piece with the Imperial probe droid, and you put a figure on it, you turn the lever, the figure would blow up the probe droid. But back then they called it a probot. I don't know why. So they kind of redid that playset here, but a little bit different. And there were some things that kind of work, and there's a few things that don't. To be quite honest, I have this up there with my Empire Strikes Back stuff because I don't have many Hoth bases, and this one has actually the generator to it. So let's go through. First off, it's not one piece. It actually separates, which is actually a good thing. You can separate these pieces out and, put a white fuzzy blanket down, or at Christmas time you see that those snow blankets. You could put that down and make your own Hoth scene or whatever. But these pieces separate, and which would be nice that you could flip them, but you can't, because if you notice on the insides here are smooth edges, so they fit like that. If you try to rotate it, you don't have smooth edges, you have rough edges, and they just don't fit together. So they only fit this one way. Each one has a trench for rebel soldiers to line up in, like in the movie, and that's kind of neat, but there's an inherent problem with that as well. You're going to find out as I go through this. Everything that's kind of neat about this set has its own problem, and the trench has its own problem. There is no pegs in the trench to peg a figure into, so your figure just stands up in there, and the interior of it, I'll show you that, is not smooth at all. It's rough and bumpy. It's got shoe prints in it, but that doesn't help your figure. You put a figure in here and they fall all over the place. There's no place for them to really stand unless you lean them against the front of this. So it lacks something for them to peg into, which the Imperial attack base from the vintage set has several places that the figures can just peg into, and they're there. They don't shift or move around. So let me separate these and go by them one by one. So this side is the Hoth generator and a big gun. And this gun was nowhere in the movie. It's got a missile. And let's see if we can get the missile to work. Oh, the button's up here. Okay. As you can see, that missile really fires. And it fires pretty good. Unlike what we did yesterday with the missile from the carbon freezing chamber, which didn't move at all. So at least on this one, the missile fires. And they gave you 2 missiles, so you had a backup. That's pretty neat, although not really in the movie, but it kind of makes this base give it, a gun. because the other side of the base has the turret, so they wanted to kind of make it even. The next part about this is the generator. The generator is in 3 little separate pieces that all link together. And you put them in this little imprint in the base, and there's a lever back here. So when you hit the lever, it's supposed to blow it up. That doesn't look really impressive. Let's try that again. Okay, a little bit better. Yeah, it blows the generator up. So not too bad. They didn't really have a generator on any of the real play sets that you could blow up. But, you know, quite frankly, this generator was out in the middle, way in the back of the field, and there was no trench or anything. But I guess they had to give you something to play around with. Second part of the base, once again, our trench, no pegs, the figures just flop around in there. And we have the turret. So I kind of want to think at this point in time, Kenner was just throwing stuff together. Stuff from the 80s was well built, pretty much put together pretty good. And a lot of the stuff from the Power of the Force line and the subsequent Power of the Jedi line was really good. The carbon freezing chambers put together really well. But there's a lot of plastic that just, like, here we go. So the turret has a door on here that you can't open. You gotta get in there and pop open that seam. And it swings open. And you can place a figure inside. But when you go to close it, it has to snap in there a bit. If you don't snap it in there right, it bulges out, or the bottom of the frame of the door is popping out. Up here, up top, is the latch that a figure can be placed into like it's shooting the cannon. And I think this was the same feature on the original one, where a figure could fit in the top of there. I don't remember if this door opened on the old one. I'd have to look that up. I think it did, but like I said, I never had that set, so I haven't delved into it. The only set I have picked up recently is the Imperial Attack Base, and I'm going to have to do a video on that because I think that came in and that didn't get done. Like I said, a lot of stuff going on. Also up front, and the turret itself is not bad, but once again, with everything that's on this that's kind of good, has kind of bad. This is, first off, it pops off, the cannon pops off incredibly easy. It's like, just snaps right off. And then, instead of giving it a missile, which really would have been much better, because should have, hit a button, missile fires off, it would have been much better. They gave it this function. You've got to watch it. It's right here. Watch. Yep. It's some kind of vinyl plastic that's been shredded up and looks like the cannon just fired. And I guess that's okay, but a missile would have been better. You could have stuck a missile in there. There's no reason that could have been a small missile or something, or they could have modified it to put a missile in there to shoot. You got a gun that shoots a missile. Why doesn't the cannon shoot a missile? And a lot of people would think, well, that's kind of neat because it makes it look like it, bam, how in certain, like if you read a comic book and they have a cannon that's firing, they have the flame shooting out after the laser. But the problem is, these aren't shooting cannonballs or bullets or stuff like that would cause that. They're shooting laser beams. This cannon is shooting laser beams. Even the gun on the other one is supposed to be shooting a laser beam, but they put a missile in there. So a missile here, a clear missile, would have looked like a laser beam fire. Instead, it's got this flame stuff, and that wouldn't even be in there because it's supposed to be, a laser cannon. So at this point, it's a decent set. It's really not one of my favorites. I only have it up there for the Hoth theme of it. But in reality, I'm really not the biggest fan of this. There could have been a little bit more that could have been done. I realized that the Power of the Force, they released a probe droid itself as a deluxe figure, which is really cool. But here, this set it kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. I mean, this would have been perfect to give to an actual kid and not a collector. A kid would have had a blast with this and wouldn't have cared about all the details. You give them a bunch of figures, they're out, you know, on a cold, snowy day, they should take this out in the field. There's no real metal parts on here that would rust because of, you know, the water or anything. Take it out in the snow and it'd go to town. I would have done that as I was a kid, but looking at it as a collector, it has, for every good thing that's on it, it has a negative thing too. Alrighty, so that is the Hoth Battle playset from the Power of the Force line from the 90s. Give me just a little bit of time. I'm going to set up going to have another video coming up right after this one. Might even do a third. I just might be feeling it, so you never know. So, for What's in the Box, I'm Jedi Jack Luther. Today's What's in the Box toy review so far has been the Hoth Battle playset from Power of the Force. Stay tuned. Come back with another video. I got stuff right over here, and you don't know what it is. And the only way you're going to know what's off to the side here, it's off, you can't see it, is to tune back into this channel. So I'll see you in just a few minutes.